Hello out there, all you beautiful people. This is dispatch number 8 of the Sienna sessions. I missed a week last week. It was holiday time. I had to skip it. I'm sorry. Couldn't get around it. It's like the busiest time of the year for a pastor, so couldn't do anything about that. I had to skip it. But here we are in 2019, kicking it off this week with dispatch number 8 of the Sienna sessions. Before we get to the topic that I want to talk about, let me share with you 4 books that I read in 2018 that I loved, and I want to give you an opportunity to win a copy of one of these books. Okay, so first, the 4 books. 2 fictions. Let's start with those. Idaho by Emily Ruskovich. Not sure how you say that. Really good debut novel, written about, kind of centers around 2 characters, Anne and Wade, but there's a lot of other characters kind of jumping in and out of the story. And it's about the whole story kind of stems from a traumatic event that happened, and the whole course of the book kind of wrestles with that event that's kind of helped Anne and Wade come together, but it was really like it's a moment that just weighs heavily on their life, and it deals with memory loss, love, and forgiveness, and it's really good book. You want to read this one? You want to get a copy of that? The second fiction is There by Tommy Orange. Also a debut novel, 2 really good debut novels in 2018. Tommy Orange is an enrolled member of the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes, and so he's writing about basically issues or the plight of the urban Native Americans in the city. And this particular work follows several stories. 3 or 4, 5 different stories that kind of all come together around one big event, and there's stories leading up to that big event, the big Oakland powwow, and just how they get there. And along the way, it talks about addiction, abuse, violence, suicide. Really good book. This is another fantastic debut novel. 2 nonfiction. First, Educated, a memoir by Tara Westover. Really good. I think this is also her first book, so another good debut book, but interesting book about Tara Westover, who grew up in Idaho in a separatist family or a survivalist family or conspiracy theorist type family, and they have this major distrust of the medical establishment, government, schools, and so this whole book is kind of about Tara Westover. She's grown up in that family with that kind of level of indoctrination into that way of thinking, and then how she's separating herself from that way of thinking and going on to become educated herself. She doesn't set foot in a classroom until she's 17 years old, but she goes on to get a PhD from Cambridge and is a visiting fellow at Harvard University, and she's brilliant, and the writing's amazing. Her PhD's in history, but this is kind of her own personal history here, but really good. And then also a history book, Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind by Yuval Noah Harari. This book, fantastic writing. You'll think, a history book? Oh, come on, man. I don't want a history textbook, but this is really good. The writing is just vivid. It's creative. It's crisp, and a lot of interesting stuff happening in this one. So if you want to win a copy of one of those books, you've got to be a subscriber to the YouTube channel. Once I get to 100 subscribers, I will draw 4 names and we'll work out who's going to get what book. But you want to get all these books. I highly recommend. So even if you don't win a copy, make sure you get a hold of one of these books. Really good stuff. But yeah, I want to get to that 100 level because I get that custom URL. All right. So help me out and you might get a book for doing it. But now, what I want to talk about today is January 3rd. New year, 2019. Got a lot going on. I'm excited for it. The other night, December 31st, New Year's Eve, I was at a New Year's Eve party and kind of a combination New Year's Eve birthday party. And I was in a discussion with somebody there at the party who knows me. And they wanted to know, this person, she wanted to know what it was I was doing about food, about my health. Because here's the deal. In the last year, actually just over a year, since August of 2017, since then till now, I've lost over 100 pounds. And I'm still going. I'm still losing weight. It's not perfect, but I'm steadily going down, over 100 pounds now. And she wanted to know what it was I was doing. I told her about what it was I was doing. I was meeting with a nutritionist. Big hat tip to Bailey Harrison, the Diet Doc Lewiston. She is fantastic. She's done incredible work for me, and she's doing incredible work for a lot of people in and around this valley, in this area here. If you live in and around this valley and you want some help with nutrition, I cannot recommend Bailey more highly to you. She is amazing. She's doing incredible work. Okay? If you don't live in this area, look for the closest diet doc, because what they're doing is incredible, and it really is not like fad diet stuff. You see, it's how to eat healthy, how to eat right for your entire life. It's not eliminating anything. And that's actually what I want to get to, because as I'm discussing what I'm doing with my nutritionist, inevitably this ends up happening in the conversation, because this isn't the only time I've had this conversation. Inevitably someone asks, and this lady on New Year's Eve did ask, what does she tell you not to eat? What can't you eat? What restrictions do you have? Here's the thing. Every time I have to stop and really think about it, because here's the deal. Bailey has never, that I can really remember, she's suggested, stay away from some like high sodium, because that's something that I kind of get a lot of, chips and things like that. But honestly, she has never said, listen, Cody, don't eat da-da-da-da-da. I always have to stop and think, and she never, because that's the truth. She's never really come out with a negative thing that's like, don't do this. Because here's what's going on. She's instead, every time we have interactions, it's a positive thing. Do this. Do eat more of these things. Do eat more of this. Do eat that, or that, right? Do these exercises. Do these things. And my mind is so going in the positive direction of the thing to do. I'm not even worried about the don'ts. They kind of take care of themselves, right? So what I'm doing is essentially my nutrition. I have what's a daily budget of macronutrients I'm supposed to get: fat, carbohydrate, and proteins. And when those things are all balanced just right for my level of calories that I'm supposed to be getting a day, my metabolism is at its peak. It burns at peak efficiency. And in order to get there, I don't really focus on the don'ts. Don't eat these things. Don't. Instead, I have this positive mindset of every day of, okay, I'm going to eat this. I'm going to eat this. I'm going to eat this, because it gets me to the level of in the macronutrient budget that I need. So what's going on ever so subtly is I'm thinking in a positive direction, and I'm not focused on the negative things, of the things I'm supposed to eliminate. And because I'm so focused on those positive things, the things that I should be avoiding kind of take care of themselves without me really even have to think about it or worry about it. Now, imagine if this whole year I were trying to focus on don't eat this, don't eat that, don't eat that. Guess what I would be thinking about all year long? That thing that I'm not supposed to be eating. That's the brilliance of what Bailey's doing, right? And I'm telling you all this because here we are, new year, resolutions, everybody's coming up with something. And I want to encourage you, whatever your resolutions might be, don't do, that's funny because I'm telling you, avoid the don'ts. No, do a positive focused resolution. Do drink more, for example, do drink this amount of water, do exercise this, do sleep this amount of time. Instead of the negative bound resolutions, don't eat fried foods, don't eat carbohydrates, don't eat that, don't eat. Because again, what is it you're going to focus on nonstop if you do the don't? If you're thinking about the don'ts, you're going to be thinking about that thing, and no wonder that you can't avoid those things. The beauty about the positive, and especially as it concerns my nutrition, is, oh well, I did that. Now I'm going to focus. I'm going to move on because I'm focused on the positive thing. I can move on. I'm not in that negative mindset, and it's amazing. The mind is a funny thing, right? it's a weird trick that we can do to our mind. It's just a different way of looking at it, but for the same thing. Instead of don't do, it's the thing I should be doing, and yet my mind will go that way, and it doesn't worry about or focus on those negative things. And so I'm not pulled down into it without even really thinking about it. I've avoided whatever it is without even spending an ounce of mental energy on it. All because I'm focused on a positive thing that I should be doing instead of focusing on a negative. So I want to encourage you to apply that for yourself in 2019. Instead of using the negative approach, try the positive approach. I want to do this thing more. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. And get your mind going on that positive track instead of that negative track. All right? Leave a comment if you have any thoughts about this, or if there's something that I can help you. I would love to encourage you to take a positive approach to your resolutions or to your goals or whatever it is in 2019. So leave me a note, leave me a comment, share this with somebody who might need some encouragement about that. And don't forget the books. Get yourself one of these amazing books. Get me to 100 likes. We'll help 4 people get a copy of a fantastic book. All right. Thank you so much for listening, subscribing, watching, sharing. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful 2019, and I'll see you next week.